Egypt criticizing Israel for blocking humanitarian aid to Gaza is especially significant because Egypt, alongside Qatar, mediated this ceasefire, the first phase of which expired Saturday. Now, Israel says it is doing this to try and force Hamas to this US-backed extension of this first phase of the ceasefire. But Egypt says this risks catastrophic consequences, especially given the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza and coming during this holy month of Ramadan. This is what the Egyptian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said. It unequivocally rejects the politicization of humanitarian aid and its exploitation as a tool of blackmail, a tactic that would only deepen the suffering of more than 2 million Palestinians who are already enduring immense hardship due to a campaign of devastation and forced displacement. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel has agreed to this proposal by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Under this framework, on the first day, Hamas would release half of the hostages still in Gaza, and over the next 7 weeks or so, ending on April 20th, at the end of the Jewish holiday of Passover, the remaining hostages would be released. In exchange for that, they would continue to release Palestinian prisoners and surge aid into Gaza. But he had a warning.
There will be no free lunches. If Hamas thinks that the ceasefire can continue, or that it can benefit from the terms of Phase A without us receiving hostages, it is deeply mistaken.
During the 42 days of the first phase of the ceasefire, dozens of Israeli hostages were released, hundreds of Palestinian prisoners as well, and aid got into Gaza. The International Committee of the Red Cross that facilitated the transfers said it saved countless lives in Gaza and warns that any unraveling of this agreement risks plunging people back into despair. People like these residents of Gaza.
والله أنا بتأمل إنها تصير هدنة يعني وإحنا نرتاح من هالحروب، لأنه أولادنا خافوا من الضرب والخبط اللي صار يعني، فإحنا بدنا راحة لإلنا ولأولادنا، وبكافة الدمار اللي عملوه يعني الواحد مش قادر يلاقي له مأوى يسكن فيه.
Hamas has rejected that US-backed proposal to extend this first phase of the ceasefire. Hamas has also called the Israeli decision to block aid to Gaza cheap blackmail and a war crime. What Hamas wants is for Israel to move on to phase 2 of this ceasefire negotiations. That would involve the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza and talk of a permanent ceasefire, an end to the war. Israel does not want to do that and says there is no automatic transitions between phases. That appears to be the stumbling block here to these negotiations. In the meantime, the people of Gaza, 2 million plus people living in essentially an area that's become ruins, will continue to suffer. Larry Medowo, CNN, Paris.